Hello and welcome to Inside Ophthalmology. I am Dr. Amrit and I welcome you to the first video of this refractive surgery series. In this video, we'll build a clear mental map of the entire refractive surgery landscape, what surgeries exist, how they are categorized, and why each one is performed. By the end of this chapter, you will understand how every refractive procedure fits together, making the more detailed chapters that follow much easier to absorb. So what is refractive surgery? Refractive surgery simply means the surgical correction of refractive errors, that is myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism and presbyopia. The goal is not perfection. The goal here is to reduce dependence on the glasses and contact lenses so that everyday tasks can be done comfortably without external correction. All refractive procedures fall into three broad categories as shown in this slide. Corneal-based procedures, lenticular-based procedures, and the combined procedures known as the bioptics. In corneal-based procedures, these surgeries reshape the front surface of the eye, that is the cornea. Since the cornea contributes the majority of the eye's refractive power, around 43 to 48 diopters, it is a natural target for the refractive correction. Under the lenticular-based procedures, these surgeries work on the second refractive component of the eye, that is the crystalline lens and its plane. Under the combined procedures known as bioptics, they use a combination of corneal and lenticular approaches when a single procedure is not sufficient. So this is the basic roadmap that we'll follow. In this video, I'll briefly introduce each category and in subsequent chapter, we'll explore them in much greater detail. Let's continue with the corneal-based procedures. The corneal-based refractive surgeries can be divided into the incisional procedures, laser-based procedures, corneal strengthening or assisted strengthening procedures like cross-linking, thermal collagen shrinkage procedures, and non-laser lamellar procedures such as epikeratophakia. We'll start with the incisional procedures, which include the radial keratotomy, Arcuate keratotomy, and limbal relaxing incision. So let's get started. The radial keratotomy was one of the earliest refractive procedures widely used before LASIK became popular. It corrected myopia by creating radial incisions in the cornea, and these deep spoke-like cuts, about 90 to 95% of the depth of the cornea, weakened the peripheral cornea and allowed the central cornea to flatten, reducing the myopic power. So these incisions were made outside the central area, which is usually a 3 mm optical zone, leaving the visual center untouched. Surgeons could adjust the number and length of these cuts depending on the amount of myopia. However, over time, the RK patients, that is radial keratotomy patients, commonly develop progressive hyperopic shift because of excessive flattening of the central cornea and corneal weakening due to those very deep incisions. Because of this, the RK is now considered a historical procedure. These corneas are also more prone to rupture, especially in contact sports, which is another reason the procedure fell out of favor. A quick note on the optical zone. The optical zone here refers to the central area of the cornea that must remain untouched during the incisional procedures to preserve visual quality. Any incision within this zone can cause glare, halos, irregular astigmatism, and reduce vision. And for RK, this optical zone was typically 3 to 4 mm, and for other procedures, it varies accordingly. We'll discuss all of those in a while. Next is the arcuate keratotomy. Arcuate keratotomy or astigmatic keratotomy is used to reduce astigmatism. It involves a curved partial thickness incision placed on the steep meridian of the cornea. Weakening the steep meridians allows it to flatten, while the opposite meridian becomes relatively steeper due to the coupling effect. These incisions are usually placed in the 7 to 8 mm optical zone at a depth of around 80 to 90% depending on the pachymetry. So the effect of the arcuate keratotomy can be increased by taking a longer arc length, a deeper incision, and choosing a smaller optical zone. So, by this method, arcuate keratotomy helps reducing the astigmatism, and it is commonly used in post-keratoplasty astigmatism, residual astigmatism after cataract surgery, or residual astigmatism after refractive surgery, especially when toric IOLs are unsuitable. Complications include obviously overcorrection, and if incisions are too aggressive, induction of irregular astigmatism as well. The third type of incisions are the limbal relaxing incisions, and these are also astigmatic keratotomies. The limbal relaxing incisions are also similar to arcuate incisions, but they are placed much closer to the limbus, about 0.5 to 1 millimeter inside the limbal margin, and their arc length ranges from 30 degrees to 80 degrees with incision depth of around 80% to 90%. The limbal relaxing incisions are mainly used to correct low to moderate astigmatism, especially during the cataract surgery. And they are simpler, they are safer, they are more stable compared to the arcuate keratotomies because the incisions stay far from the visual axis. And these LRIs are best for astigmatism under 3 diopters, while arcuate keratotomy is preferred for higher cylinders and the post-keratoplasty cases. So we discuss radial keratotomy, which is a historical procedure for myopia, and then we discuss LRIs and arcuate keratotomies, which are the procedures for astigmatism. Then we also have femtosecond assisted astigmatic keratotomy. The same incisional procedure, whether it is an arcuate keratotomy or a limbal relaxing incision, can also be performed with a femtosecond laser. The femtosecond laser works on the principle of photo disruption, creating precise microcavitation bubbles to form the cut. Compared to the manual techniques, the femtosecond laser will provide you an exact control of the depth, the precise arc length, accurate angle and centration, and also you can reproduce these results again. So most incisions are set to 80 to 90% depth, similar to the manual arcuate keratotomy, but with much better consistency. So you can see in this table on your slide how radial keratotomy, arcuate keratotomy, limbal relaxing incisions, and femtosecond assisted procedures differ in their placement, depth, purpose, and predictability.